But like, yeah, I think it's creepy and weird.
I mean, it's going to be real weird to see what dating's going to be like when people are dating robots.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be a big thing of people like falling.
A lot of guys.
Like you got your heartbroken. Like,
guy.
Look,
perfect
look
girl.
how hot my robot is.
Yeah.
I never leave the house. People don't even. When's the last time anybody's met anybody organically? I don't know. Do you just walk? Like if you walk up, I don't know because I'm married. But if you walk up to somebody in the bar and say, "Hey, what's going on?" I gotta imagine they're gonna be like, "Get the fuck away from me."
This is LARICY Live, and I'm your host, Matt LARICY, giving you unfiltered access to the world of real estate. We cover market trends, news, and give you the honest answers that will keep you ahead of the real estate game. LARICY Live is brought to you by Zenlist. Do you want to know the secret to growing a high-volume real estate business? It's not just about generating the most leads. The key to success for LARICY's agents is providing the best client experience. We put our clients on Zenlist because we know that they're getting the modern, mobile experience they not only want, but expect from their agent in this day and age. Using Zenlist with our clients put us all together in a shared space where we could work together during the home search process, which helps us be efficient and provides our clients the VIP treatment. Sign up for Zenlist using code LARICYLIVE, no spaces, all lowercase, to save $240 on your first year's subscription. LARICY Live is also brought to you by Lincoln Title. Lincoln Title is the best and most efficient title company in Chicago and the best place to close your property. So today we are talking about artificial intelligence in real estate. Artificial intelligence has been a big and up-and-coming thing that has been a lot in the news. So today we got our tech boys on the podcast here, Mr. Matt Piegza.
Hi.
Hi, Matt. And John Paul Gomez.
I go by John.
We call him Johnny Bag of Donuts, also known as the Pope.
Big tech guys here.
Big tech guys. You guys, why are you guys the two big tech guys in the group?
I have an iPhone.
Okay.
I also have an iPhone.
Wow, each one of them have an iPhone. So
An Apple Watch.
Oh yeah. Do you guys? You don't wear your Apple Watch though.
No. If you were to follow me, it's as if I'm dead.
You think he died? Yeah.
Yeah. We do count. We look at everybody's calories here, and he's always dead on there.
Has he woken up yet?
Yeah. So what we want to talk about is artificial. Do you guys know what artificial intelligence is?
It's AI.
AI is artificial intelligence.
To an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent. So what we're trying to accomplish here is like, listen, we're not experts, right? We are not by any means experts in artificial intelligence. We're just three random guys in real estate that are trying to get an idea of like how we think this is going to work, and we're kind of playing it from all people's perspectives and what we think we're going to do to try to take advantage of it in our business and have our clients take advantage of it, but also try to figure out some things that are kind of happening with it. So like, when we talk about this, do you guys know about the chat bots? What's going on with the chat bots?
Yeah, Chat GPT, or what is it?
Yeah, Chat GPT.
Yeah, GPT.
Now they're going to Chat GPT 4.
Yeah.
And now we're moving it. We're using it in a way to write our property descriptions. So Jessica's not even writing property descriptions anymore.
All right, Jess.
Right, Jess? Are you writing property descriptions?
And then AI spruces them up.
So she gives them like 4 bullet points, and then she gives it to the.
So what does it do? Just add a bunch of adjectives, makes it sound better?
Yeah, and like you could give it, and obviously you have to proofread it because you could do some.
Spell check.
Does it spell check?
Yeah, but you have to proofread it.
You gotta proofread it because it could add some stuff. There's different ones. There's different types now. And now all these ones are starting to come up with other ones. So, it is saving time because you do get redundant when you do listing. Like you write, sometimes we'll make like 6 or 7 listing agreements live in a day. So, or listings live in a day.
There's a lot of gourmet kitchens in the city.
Yeah, gourmet kitchen. Think about this. How many chef's kitchen, gourmet kitchen,
Yep.
spa-like bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? Like what are some of the, like these are just basic ones we use in all these ones.
Well, how do you what if you have 7 listings in a year in a building? They all just the same shit regurgitated.
Well, but I'm saying like you as a person, us as humans, right? We're gonna come up with whatever we can to get it out fast.
Right.
You give it the Chat GPT 4. Are we using 4 or are we just using 1?
Jess,
Jess?
I don't know the difference. To be
I don't know. We're plugging it in. There.
Google it and get back to us.
Yeah.
Four is more advanced, obviously.
Yeah. So 4 is more than 1.
Yeah, it is.
4 has to be
4
higher.
is more than
I think
1.
4 is higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 is higher.
So we're using this, but and by using this, we're not she's not saying gourmet kitchen 4 times or 6 times in a row. They're coming up with different sayings for it. So not only is it saving us time, but it's also pretty much taking away Jessica's job slowly but surely, and she's feeding into it. And in the next 6 months,
Jessica.
we're joking. But I mean, that's something, a way we could use artificial intelligence is by using listing descriptions. I think we can also probably start using the chatbots to come up with questionnaires and things like that, right? Think about like we send all of our sellers questionnaires of like, here's how to do it.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a way that we could send it to them and, I don't know, get it filled out, then have another, like we got a Google Doc for everything. Like it could probably fill out the Google Doc
Yeah.
for us. Like someday we're gonna be like, hey, chatbot, like, send the seller questionnaire, send it to them, get it filled out, create the Google Doc, and get it back to us in like 10 seconds.
Right.
It's going to save a lot of time.
Yeah, and it's also gonna somehow. I mean, it's kind of weird how it can be like that. But like, do you think? What do you guys thought? Do you guys think that artificial intelligence, knowing how far it's advancing and as rapidly it is, because if you think about it, I don't remember even the mainstream media talking about this in November. Do you?
Not really. It came out of nowhere. And
It kind of
at a
reminds
rapid
me,
pace.
like how something just comes out of like literally nowhere. Now it's just like it's all everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
It's in the news constantly. And now that it's here, like, do you guys think that it's something that could eliminate real estate brokers?
You can go if you want, but I was going to say, I think that the one thing that we have to our advantage as brokers is people want somebody to yell at. I really don't want to get somebody to tell me my loan isn't approved via robot or whatever that source would be, and then nobody to bitch at and say, well, can you explain this to me? And it's like, if you've ever called or tried to log into something and it says, not available right now, like where do you go from there? But if you get a hold of a broker or somebody and you tell, bad news is always better from a human perspective, I think.
Yeah, if you mess up a deal, somebody
wants to yell at you.
Okay, so like here, let me play a little AI devil's advocate. Now AI is starting to replicate your voice. So like they're actually making calls for people sounding like them.
Yeah.
So like you can deliver the news without actually being you. It's actually a artificial intelligence voice of you. Like they just made a Drake song with this.
But what happens when the conversation goes deeper? You're not just delivering news.
Right.
And it's like, well, what
Follow-up
happens if
question.
this? What happens if this? And the robot's just like, well, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, today it's not advanced enough, but like, think about this. Like
gonna
AI
change.
didn't really exist a year ago. Think about
Yeah.
think about the flip phone. Remember when we were kids? You guys, I mean, John's a little bit younger than us. Right, John?
I had a sidekick. I had a razor.
Right, yeah, but I'm saying like you
Razor. I
remember
was
you had
in
a
high
T-
school when that came out.
You had T9 people? You'd be like, yeah, I'll T9 you later.
I used to have a Nextel, and you couldn't text from the person's contact list. You had to write the number down,
Right.
and then when you go to the text option, and then you put the number in.
Yeah.
So you get a text, hey, what's going on? And you're like, who's this?
Right, but I'm saying like think about where that is. I mean, I had a pager when I was a kid. When I was in 7th grade, I had a pager.
So did I. I had a really good one.
Right, but like my point is like, and that was like what? That was 20 years ago, right? So think about we're 20 years from now. AI right now can already replicate your voice a little bit. You
Yeah.
tell me 20 years from now it's gonna be able to make calls like we exist.
But the other side of that is that somebody that the robot's talking to is going to be full aware of you have to disclose that, right? Like this is a freaking robot I'm talking to.
We don't know what the rules are at this point.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like you're just gonna be pretty clear when you're like, "Whoa!" When I met you at a coffee shop, you told me that this would sell in 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like, no.
But did they meet you? Here's think about this though. When we're talking about artificial intelligence, like
Well,
you know,
did
we
they meet you? Yeah.
we Zoom with a lot of do a lot of consultations over Zoom, right?
Yeah.
How many people do we do where it's just like the black screen, right? What if brokers now start doing black screen consultations and they've done the consultations
No one's really there.
so many times that the AI's picked up on it. Now the AI is actually delivering the pitch for you, and the person thinks they're able to do it. And what they're doing nowadays, they're like listening to your calls for years straight, and then they're able to replicate how you would
Pick
answer
up on
questions.
the behaviors.
I just hate it. I hate that.
Skynet, man.
I don't like
It's
that.
Skynet. I'm just. What's that? There's a Black Mirror episode about it. I don't know. I've never watched Black Mirror.
And they take all of his Instagram and social media stuff and they plug it into a program.
Okay.
and she makes
Well,
Just create the person.
essentially, they're not gonna be able to hear her on this, but she's saying it happened in a Black Mirror episode. Yes, we're just saying like how can this help and hurt it? I'm giving you guys examples of what people are talking about and why they think we'll be gone. I actually think brokers won't be eliminated, not because of the I think robots are going to make us more efficient. I think years from now they can actually replicate our like DNA at this point, and they're able to like create shit with that. But I'm saying like what they're going to be able to do with us in the future is like it's going to make our life easier, but ultimately it'll eliminate a lot of your second tier brokers. Is what it's going to do. Your mom and pops, the ones that do 2 to 4 deals a year, the ones who just got their license, like, well, you'll have like the elite brokers and then robots underneath it. Instead of like people have teams, instead of like big teams of like people who do like a lot of minuscule tasks, those tasks will be gone.
Yeah.
So it's gonna make people more efficient, and it's gonna have less people doing jobs.
I think people still want people. I mean, not even the older people, even millennials. When you call an airline, right, and you say you got to change your ticket, say you can't do it online, how many times do you try to hit zero? Like to get an operator, it's just zero, zero, because you just want to talk to somebody.
Right, but I'm saying like at 10 years from now, that'll be so advanced that you think you're talking to somebody. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So like, all right, so getting off of the aspect, talking about like how things can help the business, right? You know, artificial intelligence is going to be able to think about this. When we try to get condo information, right? We got to call the building 4,000 times to get a property manager who hates their life and hates the job and doesn't want to
catch them on a good mood, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Or how they say they direct you to home. This is property manager's job. They're like, you want rental restrictions? Yes. Here's a HomeWise link. It's $400 if you'd like that information, right? What AI is going to do is they're going to go in somehow, probably go through the HomeWise. I'm sure it's probably pretty easy to break into the cybersecurity of that, get the information, get it all back to us, plug it online.
Well, they could just scan all the bylaws and give you what you need.
Correct.
Yeah.
In seconds.
Yeah.
Seconds. It would take us how long to find we get condo docs. We're going to be like, okay, we're idiots, right? We're humans. We'll be like, page 15 is the rental things, right?
It'll be seconds.
Like under seconds, it'll be milliseconds. It's going to move so fast.
Yeah, for stuff like that, it's going to be great.
Right. But like, it's a little freak in the sense that like, man, like it's pretty, it's like hard for our minds to compute because like it literally can't move that fast.
I know.
So, but like it'll make our lives more efficient in the sense that like you'll be able to get condo information much quicker. Like there'll be you won't ever have a client tell you like, what are the restrictions of that building, right? You already know. You just be like, hey, chat, restrictions, 222 Foster Street. Boom. There's no condo there's no rental restrictions.
Everything will be there for you as soon as you need it.
It's going to be like, and I think it's going to be more like you're just going to talk at it.
So it's going to be like who could use AI the best to be a good agent?
I think I think the people, like if we look at the companies that survived the downturn, right? The ones that came out, like, like at some of these other big companies, like at properties became really big. I mean, they made an at symbol, right? Because like, now I don't know if that or anybody, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I'm saying like, they took advantage of the internet a lot when the internet was starting to come up, and like other companies were so far behind of using like technology and internet services that they did really good with it, and they gained market share in a down economy because they used technology to their advantage. Well, we're now heading, and I'm just using them as an example. Now you had Compass who try to use technology to get more, take more market share during like downer markets, like during the COVID areas. But like now it's like we're heading towards a down market, and AI is going to be the next big thing. So the players who know how to take advantage of AI in this upcoming downturn, I think are the ones that are going to grow, and the ones that don't take advantage of it are going to shrink.
Yep.
Give me an example. We're gonna do our next group photo with AI technology. We're not gonna do it.
See how those turn out.
I mean, I've seen examples. You could do a group and new headshots. I think we got to shoot like 10 selfies. We send it to this thing, and for $17, we look freaking amazing.
So who's actually doing whoever gathers the information, there's no person behind that?
No,
It's just software.
That's crazy.
it's a robot.
I don't love it.
Pizza looks scared over there. It's like,
He doesn't like
I'm
it.
a little scared. I don't like that.
but I'm saying like that's where it's going. So like being able to take advantage of that, like photos and stuff like that, like how we get photos touched up. Like we're not gonna have to do that anymore. You just like you'll probably be able to go into a place from now and just like do iPhone photos
Yep.
and like take 10 iPhone photos and just give it to the software company, and it's gonna probably end up being like a monthly subscription, and the photos will probably look like the best quality photos you've ever seen in your life.
It'll be easier and better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
a
I'm
double
saying like,
whammy.
I mean, you take a look at how AI is already taking over people's jobs. There's a lot of people who are paying artists money for pictures. So, like it's a lot of gamers and stuff, and they're like obsessed with like Fortnite and those type of things.
Right.
And there's a whole group of like on Upwork and stuff like that. They like give me a picture of Ninja Turtles or something like that.
Well, that link you sent yesterday,
Right.
where you could just type any description of a piece of art, and then it's there.
Right. In
Koala
instance.
bear on a motorcycle.
Yeah, a flamingo on a spaceship.
A bear playing golf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, random.
A dog riding an alligator.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
A giraffe eating spaghetti.
Gorilla eating pizza.
You guys are good at this.
Gorilla eating pizza is good.
A dog eating a steak.
It's good.
A shark chewing bubble gum.
Wow.
Huh? We could go on this all day.
You guys are
Yeah.
good. I'm lost.
Yeah.
See. I can't go off script. I'm not like AI.
Okay. I'm not even saying this. It's actually AI is actually generating these ideas.
I mean, who is gonna pay? Like, where's this money coming from if no one's working?
Well, I mean that's
Like
a different
that.
question.
Like what are we talking about? I mean,
So-
you're talking about like eliminating every job so somebody could sit on their $1,000 phone and do this shit. How are you affording that?
So there's going to be universal income at that
yeah,
point.
exactly. So
So like people will be just paid to not do anything. That's like they do that in other countries right now. But I mean that's the long term theory. We're talking like right now, short term is going to start eliminating stuff and like understanding where it's going. I mean, yeah, 150 years from now, could no human have a job? It's possible. I think it's very possible. And they think it's going to lead.
I think like certain things like a surgeon maybe
They'll be gone.
Yeah,
There's
like why would
robotic
you? Yeah, like
surgeries.
why would you rely on some
Human
guy
error.
then or female that to
No human error.
yeah, like it's gonna map it out exactly. It's gonna locate it and it's taking
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah, that's it. You
That's happening now.
Instead of having,
Right, I understand.
Instead
I'm
of having
saying
50
that's
surgeons,
gonna be
you'll have like two
everything.
surgeons that overlook it all, and then like the robots.
Right,
will
but
take
they're more
everything else.
technicians than they are surgeons. They're not even. They
Right.
can't even do the surgery.
Right, but if they had to, they'd probably be on site or something. Something breaks, I guess.
It's crazy.
I don't know. We're not talking about the surgery, but we're talking about like that's where it's heading, and like relating to the real estate ways. It's like, well, how do we get build this up? It's like I think we should be starting to build up, and the Jet's already doing this in his own app, which we're gonna have to probably turn to try to get AI involved, but like get a database of all the condos.
Yep.
You get all the database of all the docs. So then like we're talking about with the condo information, like we just ask the app and it sends it to us. That's a
have
leg
it.
up on our competition. Like we all know the buildings like the back of our hand, but let's face it, like there's these 3 to 6 unit buildings. It's impossible to know what the restrictions are on those.
Right.
My thing is like for real estate is like that's all fine, like the ins and outs in the back, all the office work or whatever. But what about like showings?
So
I mean, is that what you're gonna get to? Because that I just don't see how that could ever go away.
So think about this, right?
You follow a robot around.
Well,
Or a
hypothetically,
hologram.
well, not. I think the hologram is going to be like
Yep.
like the distant future.
Put
But,
something
like,
in the middle of the room,
and the
holograms
thing
there to
just
show you the
walks it right
property.
through you.
And then that's connected with the database with all the building information. So it's just a one-stop shop.
And you got a hologram in there that's it's not biased, it's not salesy, it's just going to be telling you exactly
Gives
what
you
it is.
information. Do what you want with it.
Unbiased information.
And the doorman is the same, and a building manager, and everybody's the same. They're all just these holograms. So how is anybody affording the condo?
I mean, well, that's that part. I don't know.
Nobody has
Yeah,
a
that's
people.
true.
The people
Like,
who
and the bus you took there to get there, nobody drove it. I mean, I don't know how people.
there's probably going to be extreme wealth and extreme poverty. It's probably where it's
It's going
going
to be like Minority Report.
Yeah,
and
Could
then
be.
you have the coffee you got was instantly made by a robot.
Yeah.
So I mean, that sounds like not a lot of jobs.
How about I was thinking about home inspections.
Wait, but let me tell you about how I think this is my theory on the immediate future of showings, because like we're talking holograms is probably very realistic.
Yeah.
Distant future.
Right.
We're talking we'll be retired and whatever happens to the world after that, it's like our kids' problems, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like that sounds really terrible, but like what I mean. I think they're going to start setting up like how you now have like those little Amazon Echoes and stuff like that, something like that.
Yeah.
And that they're all going to be like hardwired, and you're just going to be like, because we work in a big market, okay, like a big city. Most like 99% of America, you go in on a lockbox, okay,
Yeah.
and there's no listing broker there. You keep thinking like showing homes like in little city America that there's like a listing broker there. The listing broker's never present. The guys in Chicago, we're always present. But in 99% of places, it's not. So they're going to you can probably buy like a package for like $100. You'll place these little
You
discs.
walk into the master bedroom. You say, "What are the dimensions of this room?"
and they'll tell it to you.
Yeah, just
They'll
spit it
know
out.
everything
Say,
about it.
Could
They're
you
like,
send me a photo of what this would look like with this wall taken out?
correct. Like,
you-
I wonder what this is.
Could
blah,
you
blah.
could you update this kitchen with white cabinets for me? Just and then
But
it'll send you a recap of everything.
It'll be listening. So if you're like, I
Right.
wonder what this would be like. Red, ding ding. Just so you know, I've emailed the broker that's in the agent in here exactly what it would look like with the wall red. When people are like, oh, I don't like this carpet, it'll be like, here's a picture of it with hardwood floors.
Yep.
Yeah,
like
that's
every-
expensive technology though.
It's not. That's the
Right?
thing. It's free. All this shit right now is free. You could go on these chat things right now, and they'll give you these pictures.
I'm just saying to sell like, let's say, a $200,000 house.
Today it's free. I mean, like, think about like how much technology's gotten cheaper. I mean, HD TV should be $25,000.
But the software to do that, I'm saying, for like those
I'm
houses,
sure it's going to be a
feel like
subscription basis.
I think the more and more it becomes valuable, the higher the price will be. Because right now they're just getting a feel for it, getting it out there, like ChatGPT.
But I'm saying, like, so, like, now, like, who's going to drive them around, right? Who's going to drive them and schedule out the showings, right?
A freaking Tesla. I mean, nobody.
With no one in it.
What are we just? We're just gonna lay around like this. Just
We
let me
are.
know when the house is
We
done.
are.
Let me know when they do the inspection. Like
It's possible. Here's the thing that'll probably happen on it is that, like, you'll send AI a list of places you want to see, and then AI's like, because here's the way I look at it, and this is how you know it's going this way, is that Zillow bought Showing Time, right? And Showing Time right now is integrated with our MLS. Okay, so for people out there that know Showing Time's a software system that you click on to schedule showings. Okay, so essentially what they're going to be doing is that sellers are now going to be eventually required, that are wanting to participate, are going to upload their calendars to like when they can show the property to Showing Time, and then Zillow will just, people say click on a tour, okay, and then Showing Time will automatically confirm it because it's already integrated with the seller's calendar, and it'll be confirmed. So when people are saying up front that we always bitch about, like, hey, I'm here for brunch and I want to come out there and see the property, we're like, fuck, man, like we're available in 2 seconds. Well, guess what? In the future, with artificial intelligence, everybody will be expected to be available in 2 seconds because the technology is going to make it convenient. The point of
Syncs
AI,
everybody up.
The point of AI is to make everybody's life as easy as possible.
Yep.
Whether it eliminates all of us or eliminates every job there is in the world, I could take every job. You look at Matt. I saw this. I watched a ton of these videos in the last couple of weeks about teachers. How teachers get really impatient with people, and they can't teach people stuff because like they may have had a bad day, etc. You have an unbiased model that's going to teach the kid, and it's going to learn where the kid's brain functions, and it's going to figure out how to teach them based on the way that person thinks. So like, yeah, there goes teacher jobs.
But why would you even need teachers anymore?
You won't.
Or school. I'm saying, why would this kid
probably
even need to
won't.
learn
It'll
anything?
probably change.
Why was I memorizing the fucking capitals when I could go, hey, what's the capital of fucking Springfield? I mean, why? Think about what
information's there.
If I tell my daughter, I don't want to leave Cole out. If I tell my kids what I learned in school, when they go to school, they're gonna be like,
Why'd you learn that?
I mean, I'm sure the whole concept of how school and learning is
right.
done,
It has
people
to
will
be
change.
like you should. Like the fact
We've
that
been-
people even memorize things
Yeah,
anymore
but
makes no
we've
sense.
been running a school system based off of how things were back in the early 1900s. Like the times have changed. Like people, the things will change with it. But that's not what this conversation's about. Now, I'm not disagreeing with it, but my point is with the showings and stuff like that. It's like we get mad because we're inconvenienced. But at the end of the day, the consumer's the one that wants to buy it. They want to buy it right this second. And we know 99.9% of the time that people are at brunch are just in town visiting. But guess what? They're going to click on an app. The door's going to fucking magically open, and they're going to go in and see it. That's where it's heading. Whether we like it or not.
ultimate
To go back to what I know, this isn't about teachers, but it just came to me. Like I also think that there's something that is to be said about like a human interaction, like with a teacher, like where somebody's like, yeah, the fucking cold computer is going to be like, well, this is how we should learn it, but somebody's going to be like,
but it's
hey,
not going to be a cold computer anymore.
Or the kid starts crying.
What you guys are missing out on is that artificial intelligence is so intelligent, it's able to pick up on knowing which emotions to use. We can actually create genomes in labs right now. They're going to probably be able to build robotic like people.
Yeah.
Like literally robots that look like people in the future.
That's fucking creepy though.
And they'll probably be smarter, better, and they don't need air. They'll be able to be self-efficient.
And they'll have emotion. They'll
Right.
have emotion.
Right. So like, yeah, that's way out in the future. I'll be long dead and not my problem anymore. But like, yeah, I think it's creepy and weird.
I mean, it's going to be real weird to see what dating is going to be like when people are dating robots.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be a big thing of people like falling.
A lot of guys.
Like you got your heart broken. Like,
guy.
Look
The
how hot,
perfect
look
girl.
how hot my robot is.
Yeah.
I
mean,
never
well-
leave the house. People don't even. When's the last time anybody's met anybody organically? I don't know. Do you just walk? Like if you walk up, I don't know because I'm married. But if you walk up to somebody in the bar and say, "Hey, what's going on?" I gotta imagine they're gonna be like, "Get the fuck away from me."
The robot will fuck you up.
Yeah, you fucking,
They're a robot.
Get away from me. You yeah, this guy came up to me and asked me for my number.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I've been saying for forever. I think in the distant future, the most sought after jobs will be salesmen. And the reason, my theory on this, hear me on this, because Nicole talks about this all the time. My wife's a teacher, and she says that kids are really bad, and that's today. This is before AI. Are really bad at talking to people. Okay, they feel uncomfortable, but you give them the phone or the computer,
and they'll text you,
and they're unbelievable. They're savvy. They're slick. They're sly. But in person, everybody's a little bit because they're not used to it.
Right.
But people who could come up and like own a room and talk about people and make people feel comfortable and be able to like you said, give people emotion. That's gonna be such a commodity in the distant future.
Yeah.
Even right now, like guys, like I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but like guys who talk to people, guys or girls or whatever, you know what I mean? Like that can go and talk to people and make people feel comfortable and like actually converse and have a conversation is now an art as it is with the dying.
But you're saying that computers are going to be able to generate that same feeling?
Probably in some way, yeah. Listen, I'm not pushing this technology. Yeah. I'm just saying like this is where they're going with it. Whether or not I'm not saying I agree with it. I hope all of IA shuts down today, but it's not going to happen. I don't have the power to do it. You don't have the power to do it. It's going to happen. So how are we going to adapt our business? How are we going to adapt our clients' business to be able to take advantage of this, right? So, like, you know, let's talk about a couple other stuff of things that they can do. So, you know, scheduling seller tours, which we've talked about. Like, think about how difficult it is. Like, we have a full-time buyer's assistant and a full-time seller's assistant that sets up our tours, right? Mm-hmm. But when we want to try to get a hold, this happened to me last night, 11 o'clock at night. I'm just trying to close my computer. Buyer sends me a property, says, hey, I want to get in this tomorrow at 9 a.m. You're like, there's no way. It's 11 o'clock at night, right? Nobody's going to be up to do this. I shot the message. I sent it to Gretchen to get the appointment going. Gretchen was up. You know, we got a great assistant. She scheduled it. We got in because she did it and the place was vacant. But let's hypothetically say that was a seller-occupied property. And your client wants to get in there. It's a super hot market, right? If we have AI, we wouldn't have to do anything. We would just have to click a button. AI would take care of it. We'd wake up and confirmation emails would already be sent out to the buyer. Right. Everybody know where we're meeting. It's all done for you.
It would sync to their availability.
And it would all be in our calendars in seconds.
I think for stuff like that, it would be super helpful. But
Yeah.
the more personal something is, I think we really don't need AI for it.
I mean, I agree with you, but how are they going to make it personal is the crazy thing. But now that's just on the seller side. But like also when we talked about using Zillow and showing time and stuff like that to schedule the appointments, now it's going to be integrated with the seller's calendars. Mm-hmm. Like just think about how much easier it's going to be of the back and forth. Can you do 2 o'clock? I can't do 2. Can you do 3 o'clock? I can't do 3.
Yeah, that is
like how many times you get a person that's like, I'm available today. Okay, I'll see you at 4. Well, I can't do 4. Okay, 2 o'clock. So like, okay, I can't do 2. Well, when can you do? Well, I can only do 6:30.
The little back and forth.
And you want to be like, well, why didn't you just say 6:30 in the first place? And that's like an hour of back and forth.
Yep.
You won't have to do anything. You just tell AI what you have available, and then like you're going to show up because it's going to pop in your calendar.
Yep.
That's how it's going to work.
What happens when buyers ghost the AI though? Ooh, it's going to be bad.
Well, I mean, so you want to get really creepy with it. This is probably where it's going to head. You think that it's going to ghost you. But we all have.
It's going to show up at your apartment.
No, we have we have these things on us, and we're going to all have watches probably in the future that has all of it.
So you'll know if
they're ghosting because you'll be showing up. Be like, hey, John Smith, who you're supposed to meet, their ETA is now 2 hours because they're still in Milwaukee and they never left.
So
as you're driving up there, you're just going to check in status and be like, where's my person at? Right. Think about in the future where this will be when you're running late on a buyer's tour. You don't need to sit there and be driving and trying to text somebody when you got a car full of kids in the back trying, hey, blah, 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 take a right here. And you're trying to figure it all out. The phone will know by tracking
it'll just automatically update where you're at, like a flight does.
Right.
Like it'll tell you your
ETA personal beer in 3 minutes.
Yeah. And then you'll get in your phone, you get a dot, like, oh, the agent's running behind.
Yep.
Or think about how we text owners. After every showing, we text an owner. Immediately feedback, right? Mm-hmm. So like think about this. The minute we're done, the seller's already going to be notified that we've left the property because of that. And then we could probably just talk or maybe even,
they'll know exactly how the showing went.
Maybe even it'll be so creepy that they'll be like, here's a whole conversation that happened in the showing.
Well, that exists today.
But. Yeah. I mean, well,
that's the worst.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Right now, I always tell people we're on a reality TV show now because how many clients you think watch us in the units?
20 to 30%.
I would say more than 50% of people are watching us.
Yeah.
At least.
Which I don't love because it's like everything's taken out of context.
It's weird.
Like you'll be they're watching it or listening to it, and you're like, you're trying to get an interaction with the buyer and the buyer's broker, and you're like, I know that wall is weird. Just don't worry about it. You could take it out, and then you get a text like, my grandma bought us that painting, and it's like, whoa. Well, I'm trying to.
Honestly, it is weird. Honestly, and I'll say this, but like I never understand why sellers are watching us. Like, let us have some space because it is uncomfortable when you're sitting in there.
And it ruins the showing when. Sorry to cut you off. It ruins the showing when you know you're being watched. Right. Because now you're not being anything.
And the buyers feel uncomfortable.
Right.
They don't want to be
If there's a
honest
camera
with
in
you.
there and you walk in and it's the first thing you look at and it's a corner of the room
with a green
you're like,
light.
yeah, you're like this. Oh yeah, nice kitchen.
Yeah.
There's a camera in there.
Yeah.
No chance.
You get almost. It's like when the seller's there. Everybody kind of tenses up a little bit. I don't know why it is. It's just human nature. People get a little uncomfortable, but then the camera's in there. But my point is in the future, they'll just download the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah. If you want showings to be very quick at your apartment or your condo, this is a personal thing. Put some cameras in there because people will not spend any time in there.
Yeah, it is really weird.
It's going to be scary when people are used to that, where it's just going to be
normal. Where it's like,
like,
where are the cameras? Like, I mean, now you see people, though, you go in and they're, even if they like the property, they're not spending much time in there.
No, and they'll sugarcoat their feedback because they don't want to offend the people watching on the camera.
Right, and you get false
organic.
hope. You leave and you're texting the client, the seller, like, "Oh, I think they liked it," and then you get the feedback comes in 24 hours later. They're like one of the worst properties we've seen on our tour.
Right.
And you're like, well, why didn't we? And on film they were saying they loved it. It's like, no shit.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is that
Being
people want to be rude.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we're being watched, guys. Everybody put your smiley face on. This place is great. They walk out of this place sucks.
Yep.
Right, which is also a bad thing for, let's say, AI when you're trying to put on a front because you know that this thing's taking all the information that you're giving.
But we're hardwired differently because we grew up before the technology and the technology got implemented. Think about like Cole, who's the youngest of your kids, that like only knows cameras.
Yep.
Oh man, he goes.
They're gonna be so comfortable.
Yeah, it's gonna be like what they know. So speaking of that, like talking about another crazy thing that AI can do. What about negotiations? Right.
See, that's the one thing I think will be next to impossible. How many games are there?
No,
with
what you would have to do is you'd have to have, from the selling standpoint, you'd have to have your bottom number given to the AI originally, and then you'd have to have your max number on the buy side, and then they would finagle a way to figure out something.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The reason why I actually think this is probably going to definitely happen, like 98% of people who submit offers don't call us ever. And we statistically, people say this, be like, these guys are assholes. But statistically speaking, we sold almost double the number 2 person in the city when it comes to units. Okay, and I could tell you, I negotiate 90% of our deals that I almost never get somebody call me. I get an email in my inbox or a text message. Did you get it? And then I get a passive aggressive text.
How much more efficient are the deals you actually negotiate?
100. I mean, if I call up the people and they actually finally pick up the phone, I get a deal done in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But that's great. But that's human. But where it's going to go in the future is that this AI might listen to me negotiate for 4 years. Okay? 4 years of my life. Every time I pick up a call, I do 550 deals a year. For 4 years straight.
Knows exactly
Next
what you're
time the
gonna do.
person calls me, they think it's me.
Yep.
But the AI has already learned what my tendencies are, what my trigger words are, how I act, what gets me going. So the way you think it's like personal, AI has already figured out who I am as a person and maybe mastered negotiation even better than I did. And they're negotiating against another robot of that person's personality. And that's
but that would all have to be disclosed that that's happening.
Does it? We don't know.
I don't know. I would imagine though.
Right now there's no patents.
It's
for
like
this.
if you're being recorded, right? You have to let. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah,
you have to let people know.
I'm saying that like the three of us here have no freaking clue where AI is going. We're just talking about like how AI can make real estate more efficient. Now for us, the thing is that you two are struggling to understand with AI, and I don't mean this in a rude way, but I'm saying is that like you guys are good at your jobs. You guys know how to negotiate. You guys are people. Like you go to somebody and people like you. Okay, the average person doesn't have that talent. The average person can't walk into a room and feel comfortable talking to another person. I would actually say like 90%. I remember when I was a kid, there was a statistic that said that like people are more afraid of dying than they are about speaking in public.
No,
okay?
speaking in public than they are dying.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, yes. Okay.
The biggest.
Yeah.
You would think that what you said was right, but yeah.
Yes, but like
people would rather die than get up in front of 1,000
right.
people.
So that's the average person. You guys would rather 100%. I don't know about you. I'll fucking speak in front of anybody rather than die, right?
Yeah.
But the average person feels the other way around. So the fact that they're going to be able to use the technology so they never have to pick up the call and they can sit in the room, watch Netflix and play video games is going to be a huge thing for them. Think about there's some guys in the office that don't like to negotiate. I'm not going to put any names, but they prefer not to have confrontation, right? Let's take confrontation out of the equation. Think about how many clients we don't want to have confrontation. Now we're going to have AI be able to negotiate for us. Now, I think it's ridiculous because I think that's just a cop out and somebody not being able to do it. You guys think it because you guys are okay with confrontation, but the average person, I would actually say like 95% of people are not okay with confrontation.
Yeah.
So it's creepy. It's weird. I don't want it to happen, but like if it happens, we should be at the front of it, take advantage of it. And when you talk about like how are people going to make money? Well, make money off it now and then retire and then let everybody else figure out how to make money.
And people are just gonna, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be no interaction with humans at that point.
I mean, there might not be. What was that movie, Idiocracy, where they're all just like in chairs?
You'll have an option.
Right?
It sounds like.
Yeah, they're all just in chairs eating chips and everybody's fat as fuck. You know?
Well, like what you just said, you'll probably have an option, like let's say on our website, where it'll be like, would you like, Matt, John Paul, or Mickey to negotiate for you, or would you like our AI?
It'll show like your pros and cons.
Yeah.
It'll give you a little
what do they call
profile.
those ones? What was that guy in Star Trek? There's the regular people, and then there's the come on, you know the word I'm talking about.
The robot guy.
Yeah, the robot guy, but nobody knows he's a robot. There's whatever. There's a lot of shows. There's actually a really good show that talks about like how people go against the AIs and you can't tell if it's a person or an AI. And then like at the very end, the person that you thought was a person was actually AI, and even they thought they were a real person.
Yeah.
Like that's probably where it's going. God, what is that show called? They always say frack instead of the F word. Battlestar Galactica.
The Cylons.
Cylons. Battlestar Galactica. Honestly, it's probably going to be like that. And the Cylons won. They killed off the human race.
How far out do you think until, say, negotiation, for example, before that becomes a real thing? People could do a beta and see how it is.
Maybe. I think all of this is at the very beginning. I honestly think we'll be, by the time it's 100% mainstream, we'll probably be like at the end of like.
You
20,
think so?
30
Because they're
years.
saying it's moving at the most rapid
It
pace.
is, but I'm saying like you have to remember like
Nobody's
even
gonna trust that. Like,
I saw on the news today that Netflix is finally suspending their DVD distribution. Okay, and I was like, who's still getting DVDs from Netflix?
Yeah, it's true. There's people.
And
that are
I
doing
saw
it.
there's a huge portion of these people.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like you got to remember Netflix been around for what 20 something years at this point. Streaming's
Yeah.
been around mainstream for at least 10 to 5.
as
5 to
long
10
as
years.
I will say this, as long as our parents are still buying and selling homes,
Right.
this is never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. So like
my mom
100%.
would be like, absolutely not.
it'll be like
imagine
us.
that?
Our generation will be old and like at our parents' age at this point, like 40 years from now, and at that point it'll be like 100%.
Yeah.
So like most of the stuff like that happens, and when it starts to get really creepy, unfortunately we'll be dead, But like our kids
these AI surgeons will save us.
I mean, it's possible.
They could.
It's possible.
They'll cut your head off and they'll just put it on a body. I'm not even wearing pants right now. I knew we were filming from the neck up, from the waist up.
Yeah,
so
he doesn't have pants.
I don't
on.
have
I don't know if you guys can see that.
So, but here's a couple other things I want to talk about really quick before we wrap this up. What about contracts? Think about this too, about contracts. Right now it's really busy season. We have somebody that writes.
See, that'd be
contracts
great.
up. But like they're like, we want to buy this place right now. They're like, highest and best is due at 6. We weren't able to get in the 5. You're like, hey,
Say the
draw up
terms.
the offer here. Boom, it's done. Like by the time you're done
in your
saying
inbox.
it, it's already in the other agent's inbox.
Right.
Think about how efficient that is.
Right. And then
And then artificial intelligence is negotiating for you, and you're sitting at the family with your zoo, and you didn't have to do anything.
Yep.
I did go to the zoo yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my point. So, and then the other one to think about is like, think about email. Like I have, some days I'll have over 2,000 emails in my inbox. And it's just all bullshit stuff, back and forth. It's spam emails. Like I woke up today to 70 some odd emails. It was all spam. Honestly, it was all spam. Every single email was. There was one email that mattered. 69 of them I had to open up to make sure it wasn't like I misread the headline, to make sure it wasn't like a real person.
Right.
Yeah.
But think about how great it would be. I wake up, like for me, I probably spend 60 to 70% of my day answering emails that I actually don't need to answer.
It would sift through the bullshit.
Like where it's like, what's the actual today? We were talking about this before we got in there. Like somebody was yelling at me about not scheduling something correctly.
Yeah.
And they were wrong. That took 5 minutes of my day.
Conversation
There's
wouldn't have even
24
happened.
hours. That's
It would
5
just
minutes I
respond
say.
and say, absolutely,
Right.
actually, it
But I
happened
think
this
about every time throughout the day where there's a 5-minute conversation that I don't need to be a part of. It has nothing to do with me. It's completely meaningless BS. But I have to take care of it. Otherwise, they're going to keep bothering me.
Yep.
Right? So, like, if I add it up, that might be an hour of my day. Now, I just got an hour back. Now I'm at 23 hours, right? And then there's another 2 hours of my day that's like pointless emails that I actually don't need to answer, but could be taken care of. The AI could have taken care of for me. Then let's look at another thing, like follow-up. Like, I follow up like a madman, right? I have a set way that I follow up with people. Every single day, I spend at least 2 hours a day following up. They call it prospecting. A big thing that real estate do, a lot, you go to real estate coach. I don't believe in real estate coaches, but people who do, they talk about follow-up, follow through, whatever, right? Constantly do it, always. Now, it is an art that I do. Think about how great it would be that every single day I know what I have to say to the people who I have to follow up with.
Yep.
I don't even say it. AI has learned my tendencies and is now following up for me. Now I just saved another 2 hours, and I just got 3 hours of my day back. Now I'm down to 21
You're gonna end
hours
up at the zoo. You better watch yourself.
Now you're good at follow-up, and that's why you sort of stand out, right?
Right.
Because you're consistent with it.
Right.
Now, what if everyone is amazing at follow-up because
that's-
of AI?
right.
How will you stand out?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's going to come down to like people who are going to be like following up with. I think the people, you still have to program the thing to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And you still have to wake up and be consistent with being like, hey, make sure I do the follow up.
Yeah.
Right. Because what's going to happen is everybody's going to have all these systems.
Yeah.
I
Right?
think also what he said earlier is like the commodity will be when they actually say, you know what, I'm calling them.
Right.
Hey, what's going on? And you're like, listen, I read through this. Here's what's actually going on. Here's where their mindset is. You know,
Yeah.
There's
and
a
then
lot of
that's-
there's a lot of brokers, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are some really big brokers in the city that have like great systems. Like they're good at business. They
Yeah.
got a great system. They got good technology.
Yep.
Okay, and like they're crushing it, and they got a good network. Right? They came from a rich family, so they got a good network. And I'm not going to name them, but there's some people up there. But then when you pick up the phone to talk to them about like what real estate is, you're arguing about closing costs. They don't know what closing costs are.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not? I'm like, dude, you're doing fucking $200 million. You don't know what a closing cost is?
Yeah.
Or they're asking you questions about how contracts work. You know, don't give me the new contract because I've never read it. You've never read it? It takes 5 minutes.
I
you
think
know?
a good thing about like AI and contracts too is like you get so many. When I send out a contract, a lot of times it's like, what's line 68? You know, what is this? And it would instantly be able to give you probably a better answer than I could.
Not only is it gonna be better, but it'll explain the contracts your client. Like they'll have a
Right.
whole thing where like the buyers can be like, I don't understand what as is, right? How many times do we have to explain as is?
Yep.
We have a whole template to send out to people as is. You know, it'll ding. Like it'll have little marks that'll just talk to you about
You
it.
could have a system in place that once you send that offer over, it's your voice walking that person through the contract.
Correct. And they
Make them feel
Right, you
perfect.
click on it, you wave over it, and it says, "Oh, this is the as-is portion." The other thing that it could do is when you sign on to work with a broker, like let's say the Matt LARICY Group, you fill this out in any form or format that you could possibly do. So let's say you want it. Here's the as-is one. Here's this template. Here's this template. So that the second that you walk into a house, you say, "Send it."
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what you're getting yourself
And you
into.
say, "What are the terms?" And you go, "As is, close the 30th."
Right, but
blah,
that's
blah, blah.
that's where it's gonna go. But it's also like think about when you talk about that, like talk about like when you get a new client and how much time we spend on consultations, walking
Yep.
people through it. Well, like what if you get how many times we get somebody that's like, I want an Airbnb,
Yep.
right? And you're almost annoyed by it because you're like, oh, you know, Airbnb doesn't really exist in our markets.
Yep.
But think about how much business we're losing because we get frustrated because we know it's a waste of time. But if we were just like, now there's a presentation that goes out that walks them through what Airbnb is, shows them where the opportunities of where Airbnb
Just
properties
filters
lies,
everyone,
and
that
then just
could be
shows
done, yeah.
shows it where it is, and then we're just picking it out and we get paid a commission for doing it,
Yep.
right? So I'm saying like we're all looking on these negative things, but there's a lot of positives for
No,
it.
absolutely.
In
I
the
just
future,
think it
we'll-
has to be the right way. Like I think there's still going to be a lot of people that are going to want.
Well, eventually
human
AI will take over the world. The Cylons will win. And we'll all be sitting here and be dead. But like that's gonna happen. We'll
As
already
long
be
as we
gone.
keep a line, like a barrier that still has some human interaction to make up for all the intelligence and the efficiency.
I fully believe it's gonna
a
take us
perfect happy
survival of
medium.
the fittest, man. Like we're not gonna be the top dog anymore. They can do everything bigger, better, and faster than us. It's gonna be really creepy, like beyond creepy. Skynet, like it's not gonna be like robots that look like that. It's gonna be people who look like us but are actually robots.
Yep.
Pants are going to
Yeah.
be gone, obsolete.
Yeah, you're not gonna have
Yeah.
to wear.
You're not going to
clothes.
have to wear pants.
But for the time being, when we're heading into what people think is a downturn, being able to take advantage of the technology that's out there today, understanding where it's going, using it to the advantage that we can, will make us more efficient and give us more opportunity to do it. Because ultimately, let's face it, there's still a lot of people who aren't even filling out contracts through DocuSign.
Yeah.
Right? They're still meeting people and faxing contracts over.
That's
Get the
insane.
wet signatures.
Right. But I'm saying is that like, well, before it gets too crazy, like we're talking the Skynet world, we just needed to understand like here are the things that are happening, teach our clients some of the stuff that we're seeing, and then try to take it the most advantage we can.
And the
Yeah.
good thing is when it first starts to be used in mainstream, I think that it's going to be a premium. So when you pay for a premium for us to have that service, that's where it's going to be beneficial.
Right. If
to
you
us.
have the capability.
like it's like, oh, you guys use this, and it's like, yeah, it costs us $4,000 a month.
Right.
Like not everybody's doing it.
Right. And again, when you talk about like, well, we're brokers gonna be, it's gonna be like, unfortunately, the top dogs are going to get bigger because we're going to be able to have the ability to be able to buy it and see where the future's going. And the people at the bottom aren't going to want to do it because they don't believe in it.
Yep.
So, all right. Anything else to add with our artificial intelligence, AI?
What the hell are we doing here? Why'd I put pants on?
Yeah. So, but that's where it's going. So, anyways, we're gonna end this, guys. So, if you guys have any ideas of where you think AI is going, leave us a comment. Subscribe to our podcast. Thanks for listening to LARICY Live.